Well, good Sunday afternoon, grandkids. It's time for another one of our weekly Bible memory verses, but I've got to tell you it's the same verse as last week. From Romans chapter 5, verse 12. Why it's the same verse is I'm still having trouble putting this to memory. I get it sometimes and I don't get it the other time. We just have to keep practicing and practicing till we get it. And once you have it, you have to keep practicing to keep it. But that's the neat thing about Bible memory. You have to practice it over and over. It's not like riding a bike. Once you can ride a bike, you never have to practice again. It's just natural. But Bible memory, you have to keep practicing over and over. You have to dedicate time every day to practicing memory verses. And this one I want to go over again and explain it again because it's so critical to understand this verse. Because if the Bible ended with this truth, we would have no hope of heaven. We'd have no hope of ever being with God forever and ever. If the Bible ended with this verse, we'd be in trouble. The good news, it doesn't. This verse is a warning to us and why we need Jesus Christ, why we need the gospel of Jesus Christ, that he died for us by shedding his blood. They buried him and he rose again from that grave to give us victory over death. This verse is talking about death. That's passed to all men, to everybody, but we have a Savior. We have a hero in Jesus Christ who took our death off of us. Matter of fact, the Apostle Paul, in his writings, doesn't cause it death to us that believe. He calls it sleep. We're just going to sleep one day and then end up in heaven. So think of death like just going to sleep for a moment, and then you end up in heaven. That's the hope of every believer. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. All right, let's break that down. Wherefore, as by one man, that's Adam, sin entered into the world. Adam, when he sinned in the Garden of Eden, when he took that apple, that was sin, and he passed sin on to his children. His children passed sin on to the next generation, and so on and so on. So that today we're not a sinner because we sin. We sin because we're a sinner. We're born a sinner, and that's what we just do. Naturally, we sin. And that causes death. Look what it says. Wherefore, as by one man, Adam, sin entered into the world, and death by sin. There was no death until there was sin. But now that there's sin, there's death. And so death passed upon all men. Everybody dies. But remember, Paul calls it not death. He says sleep to us that believe that Jesus Christ died for you and rose from that grave. Paul says, just go to sleep, and then you're going to wake up in heaven. Isn't that a wonderful thought? For that all have sinned. One last time. Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. The theme of the Bible is that we're outside of God because of our mistakes. We're outside the family of God. That's a warning. But God made a way through his Son, Jesus Christ, to take death off of us and give us sleep just for a moment, end up in heaven. Isn't that a great hope we have? Love you guys.